Heyo, my Planet Coaster friends, Johnny5 Alive here, and welcome back to another episode of Coaster Spotlight Contest Edition. In today's episode, we have a recreation coaster, so stay tuned and let's check it out. All right, welcome back, everyone. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. We're going to just dive right on into things. We have a lot of submissions to get through, so no need for all the crazy introduction rigmaroles, except we still need to introduce the creation. So we're going to be looking at Gemini Recreation, created by Kings Island Fanboy, one of our Discord new builders. And here they say, "Hello, this is my first time I've ever entered a contest. I decided to make a Cedar Point Gemini Recreation and an aerodynamics hybrid coaster that opened in 1978. I think it turned out pretty well, and I hope you agree. Enjoy." Okay, I already have a lot I want to talk about, but let's just jump on into it. There's the Gemini. We recently rid this coaster in the Cedar Point Park Spotlight. So here we go. For anyone who wants to see the queue. Now, I did look at the Google Maps top-down version of this coaster. It seems pretty accurate. I think the layout, if we look at it here, maybe I can even bring up an image on screen. Let me see if I can line this up. All right, so there's the in-game, and there's the real map. So I do feel like there are some discrepancies, although it's pretty hard to pull this off. I think the coaster needs to be elongated out a little bit more and squeezed in, tightened up. But for the most part, the track layout is very much similar. So there you go. Anyways, let's just ride these guys. We have I guess red and blue, left and right. They are racing coasters, so they should feel very similar. So I think we're gonna actually ride this one in track, and then we'll go into, well, you know what? We have to go into this view, or actually track view. So we don't want that little visor in the way. And we'll do like a cinematic for the next one. So what's interesting is I immediately noticed something was strange about this. So we actually are using a hyper coaster, but there's a second coaster built underneath it, which is the wooden coaster. So you use the hyper coaster to get the track and the coaster type, but then you use the wooden coaster to create the supports. I quite like it. So let's test the blue one. I don't even know if cinematic will work because it's crashed into another coaster track, but we will try. All right, so very interesting approach using the hypercoaster to get the steel track, but then to use the wooden supports. I like it. I like the innovation there. However, in terms of the contest, it doesn't really work, does it? Because the contest is a dueling coaster contest, and this is more of a racing coaster. So by choosing to do a recreation, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. However, it does cause two problems. If you're going to choose a recreation, try to recreate a dueling coaster and not so much of a racing coaster. And secondly, the whole theme or the spirit of the contest is a versus contest, and you were supposed to pick two distinct themes to go head to head. Now, what would the distinct themes of these two coasters be? Red and blue, left versus right. That is not something that is very elaborate or creative, and the fact that it is a recreation, there's not a lot of innovation in terms of what you can come up with in terms of theming on your own. And that is the big thing about these contests, is the artistic polish, the creativity. Now, I do appreciate the fact that you did decide to do a second coaster for supports. So technically there are 4 coasters here, and you did a pretty darn accurate representation of the Gemini. So there are some pros, and I do think there's some value in this content by itself. But in terms, personally, do I think it deserves to win in the beginner bracket in terms of the spirit of the contest? I think not, simply because there is no theming between the red, blue, or left and right, and there's no apparent verses going on here, other than the fact that we have red and blue and left and right. And it is more of a traditional racing coaster. There's no interaction between the two. So a bit of a hit and miss on my opinion, because it doesn't follow the spirit of the contest. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you guys are the deciding factor. But I hope the people that are voting on these creations for this contest are taking it seriously, taking the voting seriously, taking into account what is the spirit of the contest, what is the theming between something versus something, and what are the dueling interactions between the two coasters. So with that said, I still think this is a very fun and solid creation from Kings Island Fanboy, one of our Discord beginner builders. Certainly is a fun creation overall, but in the future, maybe try to really get involved and creative and inspired by the constraints that we put on our contest, because that's the point of these contests, is to put constraints on you guys and see what you can come up with when you are put in a limited bracket of things that you have to come up with. So that's my thoughts on this one here today. I still think it's fun content, and it's a good episode, and it's always great seeing a fun recreation coaster. So really good job on this one here today, Kings Island Fanboy. What did you guys think? Leave your comments, critiques, feedbacks, opinions down in the comments below, and be sure to stay tuned. We are releasing coaster videos every 12 hours until the contest is through. Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me in today's video. I will see you in another 12 hours. Bye now.